Hello, my name is Dan Colgan, and I am the organist and music guy here at Gloria Lutheran Church in Olympia, Washington. Today is March 2nd, and the hymn I would like to take a look at is God Loved the World, number 323 in our red ELW hymnals. The text of this is yet another anonymous German text. It was first published in 1778. Its first appearance in the U.S. was in the 1847 Missouri Synod Lutheran hymnal. August Krull, a German immigrant who lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, retranslated it for the 1889 Evangelical Lutheran hymn book under the title, Our God So Loved the World That He. Although some small revisions have clearly taken place, that's essentially the version that we have here today. The tune of this, Rockingham Old, is an English psalm tune. It first appeared in a 1790 collection prepared by Edward Miller. We're not 100% certain that Miller actually wrote this, but when preparing a hymn collection, it was fairly common practice at the time to include a number of your own tunes without really giving credit to yourself. Miller was a somewhat interesting figure. He was a flautist who played for George Frederick Handel, apparently. He was also an organist at an Anglican parish in Doncaster, South Yorkshire. He published a number of books, including local histories, as well as musical compositions, including harpsichord sonatas, hymn settings with flutes, and organ pieces. Miller was a deep believer of the new ideal that congregations should sing with the music of the church corporately, even in 4 parts when well written, as opposed to only the choir or professionals singing music in worship. Unlike Germany and other parts of the world, everyone singing a hymn together, even the women and men at the same time, was quite blaspheme. It was just a very brazen thing to encourage. Even today, in some parishes in England, only the choir, consisting of only men and boys, sings the music. To this specific tune, Rockingham Old has been used with a number of different texts, including Watts's When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. I'm sure a devotion on that text will be coming soon. However, I want to jump back to the text of this hymn for just a minute and what's contained therein. This begins as a paraphrase of John 3:16, but that's really just verse 1. It doesn't necessarily continue down that path. Verse 2 talks about how Jesus is the ground of faith and how Christ is the chief cornerstone and how we should confide in him. Verse 3 is very personal. It begins, if you are ill, if death draws near, and reminds us that Christ rescues us from death. Verse 4 pulls us out of that gloom and begins, be of good cheer, and speaks of the forgiveness of sin. The final verse is a Trinitarian verse of praise. So maybe I misspoke earlier when I said that this hymn stops at John 3:16. Maybe it actually goes on in a way to John 3:17, which reads, God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. In many ways, I feel like verses 2 through 4 have a strong connection to this text. This language of forgiveness and that the reassurance that Christ's presence is indeed a result of God's love for humanity. Verse 5, giving eternal glory and praise to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, seems a fitting response to this. Thanks be to God, indeed.